Hey guys, Barry here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Michael Schenker group Immortal, out January 29th on Nuclear Blast. This album has 10 tracks, 45 minutes in length, and this is the band's 11th full-length studio album. I don't think Michael needs an introduction. Everybody knows Michael Schenker. He's an absolute legend, and he packed this record with incredible stars like Ralph Shapers, Ronnie Romero, Michael Voss, Doogie White, Simon Phillips, amongst others. Once you get into the nitty-gritty, the structure of this album is the first thing that will stick with you. It's a roller coaster ride. It changes directions, it changes the eyesight of the listener with every single track, but keeps you connected. It keeps you glued to this album. This is a record that does all the heavy lifting for the listener. You just have to sit back, enjoy the ride, and let the music take you on this journey. You don't have to do any work whatsoever. And it's an album that's constantly moving, is constantly changing, keeping you connected, keeping you going forward, and keeping you a little bit on the edge of your seat, not necessarily knowing what the next song is going to bring. So all of these elements put together allow this album to be very fluid, very dynamic, very enjoyable, great album to listen to. Once you get into the soundscape of the record, this is definitely a rock album with some heavy metal influences at play. Some tracks have a little bit more of both. Some songs are just really pure rock and roll tracks through and through. But in the overall picture of the soundscape of this album, there are two things we have to mention: the warmth and the richness of sound, staying very consistent across every single track. The quality of the sound is the glue that holds this record together. When you have so many different moving pieces, it's really easy to create an album that feels more like a compilation that's a little bit broken within itself. This record doesn't have that problem at all. It stays glued with the quality of sound, with the richness of sound, and how warm the music is, and how warm that volume of that soundscape is across all 10 tracks. That is the consistency that you need when you have an album, like I said, that has these many moving pieces. And a lot of that warmth, a lot of that richness of sound comes from the guitars. I love the solos, I love the leads, the riffs, the melodies, and that's not surprising. I mean, we're talking about Michael Schenker, so you're obviously expecting a great guitar playing record, and that's exactly what you're gonna get. But I was a little bit taken back by two different elements within the guitars. One was how rich, how warm, like I said, they were, creating this really incredible volume of sound that just makes you feel very comfortable. It makes you take your guard down and you just really enjoy everything that's coming at you. The sound feels like it gets bigger and bigger with every single song. It really feels all the different holes that exist, and it's a record that really comes at you as an avalanche of sound. Now, the other side of it is, I felt that perhaps this record is going to be more guitar driven, or at least that the songs were going to have the guitar on the forefront, really dictating everything that is happening. It is the case on some songs, but it's not necessarily the standard throughout this record. I felt that they did a wonderful job balancing all the different elements that the record has to offer, including the guitars, pushing them to the background a little bit, moving them to the forefront, but allowing all the different elements to have a piece, or at least to dictate a little bit of where this album is going, allowing it to be very cohesive and, like I said, very balanced across all the different elements. This is important. This creates the strength, it creates that warmth, it creates that balance that's really needed for an album that has this sort of dynamic, that has this sort of construction. Within the sound, you also have to mention the keyboards. And perhaps the reason I want to mention the keyboards is that they may go unnoticed throughout this record, because unlike the guitars, they don't have this predominant role that's in your face, really letting you know what they're doing with every single song. They're not even in the passenger seat. They're perhaps in the back seat of the car, but just because they're in the back seat of the car, it doesn't mean they don't play an important role in the experience, in the richness, in the warmth of sound that the album has to offer. I love the layers that the keyboards delivered on this record, creating consistency of melody, creating these backdrop atmospheric elements at times, really enhancing the beauty of the songs, enhancing the overall experience, and also picking up on the lyrical content of the songs and creating something that translated those lyrics into a musical format. So the keyboard playing on this record is outstanding, it deserves attention, and it really allows the album to be as powerful as it is. This is a record, like I said, it doesn't depend just on the guitars, it depends on all the different elements to play their role in the sound that they're creating. Overall, this is an incredible record. It doesn't matter where you look at. It doesn't matter if you look at the guitars, keyboards, sound experience, vocals. And when you come to vocals, you have so many different vocal approaches on this record, all of them consistent, all of them of the highest quality possible. So every single thing about this album is quality. Every single thing about this album is consistency. This is a record created by somebody who doesn't know how to make bad music. So obviously you're going to have a great record on your hands. I love this album. I love the consistency of sound that it has. I love how easy it is to digest and how easy it is to enjoy. Sometimes you don't have to make complicated music in order to make it good. You just have to make songs that connect with the listener. And this record has 10 songs that will connect with the listener. Now, as far as favorite tracks are concerned, I want to start off with Night of the Dead. Powerful start. Drums and guitars come in together to create this really big bulldozer wall of sound coming at you that provides such thickness. It provides such power, such strength. And then the vocals are the ones really guiding that bowl in the direction that it needs to go. And it's really an interesting dynamic that you have such strength and such power being moved by another powerful element, which is the vocals. The verses are very driven, the chorus is a little bit more melodic. I didn't feel musically there was much of a change between the two. The song flows almost perfectly from one to the other. The main change between one and the other, it's really the vocals and the keyboard undertone that you're going to get in the chorus, hidden within there as a layer within there, adding a little bit more melody. But overall, as far as the guitar sound is concerned, this song is pretty straightforward, going from the verses into the chorus, back into the verses. It has an incredible solo, but that is something that I can say about every single song on this album. They all have incredible solos. And like every single song on this album, this track, the solo really pulls off the experience that you're getting as the listener from how this song got to that point. And then the solo is pretty much dissecting every single element of the track, plus adding a little bit of flair, a little bit of panache to it to make this song become bigger, make the volume become larger, and make this song overall more impactful. Night of the Dead, one of my favorite songs on this record. Next, Devil's Daughter, pure rock track from the beginning all the way to the end. The opening riff is very gritty, is very raw, and that sound kind of stays true throughout the track. The verses, you really feel the guitar pushing the song forward, is the one really dictating where this track is going to go. Then you get into the chorus. The chorus is super catchy, super hooky, and it allows the vocals to take a more of a predominant role. And the way they come across, they also add a little bit to that hookiness, to that catchiness that the chorus has. So the vocals play a very important piece of the pie as far as making the chorus as bombastic as the chorus is. Definitely a song that has two different lovers, if you will. You got the guitars and you got the vocals. There are some points in time throughout the song that you're going to fall in love with the guitars, and there are some points where you're going to fall in love with the vocals. In the end, you realize that you love them both equally, because this song is able to merge them perfectly from beginning all the way to the end. Last but not least, Come On Over, another great rock track that just has a lot of power, a lot of strength. The guitars are a little bit richer in this song. They're not as gritty as they were in Devil's Daughter. They're not as raw. They have more of a heavy metal touch into how the riff is coming across. So there's a little bit more of a presence as far as the guitars are concerned, pushing the song forward, more in your face, with more direction, if you will. And I love that heavier edge that the guitars have on this track, not making necessarily the song heavy, because this is not a heavy song, but there's definitely some heavy undertones on how the guitars permeate from the beginning all the way to the end of the track. The vocals give also a lot of strength and push the song forward. So now you have two elements. You have the guitars creating some heaviness, some underlying heaviness, and pushing the track, and then you have the vocals coming on top of it, pushing the track even more with a lot more decisive direction, with a lot more strength, a lot more power, matching the same intensity that you're getting out of the guitars, you're going to get it out of the vocals. The solo is just outstanding. One of my favorite solos on this record, and that's a hard thing to say because all songs have incredible solos. It's like picking who's your favorite son. But the solo on this track, for some reason, was special to me. I felt that it was absolutely not only nailed, it came in at the right time, right length, a right sound approach. It brought something that was there throughout the song that you feel like it's brewing, and then finally it has this climax when the solo is presented to the listener. So I love this track from a construction, but also from a sound perspective. This is it. Michael Schenker Group with Immortal, out January 29th on Nuclear Blast. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.